as a lot of you guys know, the post-Endor era of the Star Wars Legends Expanded Universe is some of my favorite Star Wars content of all time. We see the New Republic attempt to establish itself, set up a military, and also fight off Imperial remnants, including powerful warlords like Thrawn or Zinj, or even smaller splinter groups. A personal highlight of this era for me was the X-Wing series, which started off following Rogue Squadron and showed everything from the New Republic's capture of Coruscant to their fights against Azani Isard, the Bacta Wars, and much, much more. I particularly liked the focus on the military aspect of Star Wars, which was often ignored. In comparison, a lot of people have been disappointed with how the new canon has handled the post-Endor era, especially between the sequel trilogy and Episode 6. Unlike Legends, where the Imperial Remnant existed in some form until the Yuuzhan Vong War, canon has apparently seen the Empire more or less defeated by the Battle of Jakku. And that's why I was very excited for the announcement of Alphabet Squadron, a post-Endor new canon novel which would focus on New Republic starfighters hunting down surviving elements of the Empire. We don't know whether this is before or after the Battle of Jakku, but we do know that this will expand the Empire's presence after Endor. So we got some news about Alphabet Squadron. Actually, it was only 10 minutes ago. This is my response to that news. First of all, we learned that it won't be a single Alphabet Squadron book, but rather an entire trilogy. And I think that that is phenomenal news. My main problem with most of the new canon books up to this point is that they didn't have interesting world-building, self-contained stories. Like, nothing happened that actually changed the state of the galaxy, and a lot of that is just because one book isn't enough to actually do that. Even the first two Thrawn books haven't done a whole lot to change the state of things. The best example of the opposite is probably the Aftermath trilogy, which obviously was 3 books and helped establish the EU. I'm hoping that this Alphabet Squadron series will really help set up the pre-sequel trilogy era for more storytelling. What's more, we know the novels will also cross over with the newly announced Star Wars TIE Fighter mini-series, which will be set at the same time. So we'll be getting lots of new lore. And one thing I really hope for is, especially with the comics, that we see some New Republic starships and perhaps some new Imperial starships as well. But let's talk about the other news. Between the StarWars.com article and the Del Rey Twitter account, we do know that Alphabet Squadron will be a trilogy. We know the Rebels at this point will be the New Republic, and that Alphabet Squadron specifically is tracking down a mysterious lethal force of TIE fighters under the command of New Republic General Hera Syndulla. We already knew that Hera was alive until the Battle of Endor, but this is confirmation that she survived and actually joined the New Republic. I also wonder whether her son Jason, who first appeared at the end of Star Wars Rebels, will also feature in the book somehow. And given the fact that Book 3 of the Thrawn trilogy or series is on the horizon, this connection is extra interesting to me. We don't know much about Shadow Wing, but they are an elite squadron of TIE fighters, something that was obviously pretty prevalent in Star Wars Legends. This gets me excited, and I really hope that Soontir Fel, who was a very popular Legends character and one of the greatest Imperial pilots, will also make his way back into canon. Similarly, although the book will obviously be focusing on Alphabet Squadron, I do hope we get some references at least to Rogue Squadron, perhaps fighting on the front lines elsewhere across the galaxy. Speaking of, we know at least one member of Alphabet Squadron will be Yrica Quell, who was an Imperial defector flying an X-Wing. She seems perhaps like a Tycho Selku kind of character. But yes, this series, which I hope will be telling more of a contained and interesting story than some of the other one-off novels, will be a great place to recanonize some old Legends elements. Whether it's starfighter pilots, members of the Fringe, just starfighter classes, whatever else, I'm really excited for Alphabet Squadron, and I'm happy they're turning it into a trilogy. This could be one of the real first Legend-style post-Endor novels in Star Wars, so I hope you guys are excited as I am. The book comes out, for those who don't know, June of this year. The squadron is called Alphabet Squad because there are several different starfighter types. We see an X-Wing, an A-Wing, a Y-Wing, a B-Wing, and a U-Wing in the cover art. That's a pretty small squadron, and squad in Star Wars usually refers to 12 fighters, so I'll be curious whether some new ships are thrown in there. For a great video on why mixed starfighter squadrons aren't the best, I'll link you guys to Space Dock. Anyway, let me know what you think and if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer. Now, I did have another scheduled video for today. Let me know if you guys want to see that down in the comments. Anyway, until next time guys, this has been Eckhart's Ladder. May the Force be with you.